Hello, everyone. My name is Ahad Hussain, and welcome to Titan Alumni Talks, a weekly podcast where we talk to alumni about their journey as a Titan and where they are today. Having been established in 1957, CSUF is now nearing 300,000 alumni. Because we are a family of Titans, we should ask the question, who are our alumni? Join me every week as we meet some of our CSUF alumni from various industries to answer this question. For today's episode, we have Matt Sylvester as our guest. He graduated from Cal State Fullerton with a bachelor's in American Studies and a minor in broadcasting. He now works as the radio media coordinator at Cal State Fullerton. So thank you, Matt, for being with us.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be a guest in my own studio.
Yeah. So as some of you may know, Matt actually works at Titan Radio, and he just graduated this past spring. Mm-hmm. So he went directly from, well, not directly from being a student, because then you had the job in the middle. We'll get into that. But within a few months, he went from being a student here, and you were a DJ here too as well, right?
Yeah, I was a DJ here ever since my first semester here at Cal State Fullerton.
So you've been doing this for 4 years. You know what I find funny? You're only 4 years older than the radio station.
That's not true.
It is true.
How old do you think the radio station is? Because I know how it is.
20 years old and you're 24.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I was thinking of it differently. You're right, though. We are about to celebrate our 20th anniversary.
Oh, my goodness. I did my due diligence.
Yeah.
I did it.
You did.
And then, so most people who...
Okay.
So yeah, it's been here for 20 years. So how, do you know how the origins of it went?
Briefly, so I know that it started out, there's a College of Communications here on campus.
Like that way.
Yeah.
College
and when
Park.
yeah, exactly. And they started a new major at the time called Radio TV Film, which now is called Cinema and Television Arts. Yeah. But at the time it was Radio TV Film, and so I think at that time is when they established Titan TV and Titan Radio. And it's always been internet-based. It's always been student-run, so I don't really think of that part of it has changed, but to my knowledge, that's the most that I know.
And was that still here at the basement of Public Library?
I think it's always been in the same place, yeah.
You guys need a sign outside the library because
I know.
No one knows about this place.
I know. It's nice to have it as like a little secret, but also, yeah, more visibility would be nice. We'd love to be on like the ground floor or something.
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Maybe one day you guys will get promoted.
Maybe next remodel.
Let's go into your day of life. What do you do here on a day-to-day basis?
To be honest, every day is different. So like one day I'll be helping a student just produce their podcast. I'm not helping you right now. You're the host. But I do, help students day to day, and then the next day I could be helping the president of the university produce his podcast. I could be recording audio for Titan TV production. Sometimes I go to classes and talk about audio production too. So it kind of just changes, which is kind of the best part about the job, that there is no day-to-day, basic.
Yeah, so it isn't like regular office work that a lot of people get stuck into, especially after college.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I get to, even though you do see me at my desk a lot of times I get to walk around the campus, go outside, just walk around, try different areas around. So I get a nice change of scenery for sure.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty nice. And then you're back to the familiar area where you kind of never left home.
It's very true, yeah. I love this school, and it does feel like a second home for sure.
And where did you grow up?
In Fullerton.
So you just commuted here and you still are doing the same?
Yeah, even when I was a kid, actually, when I was like 8 or so, I went to Cal State Fullerton baseball games and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I've always had a connection with the school.
So I've noticed that you are a fan of the Chicago Cubs. Is that why you came to Cal State Fullerton, because it's baseball?
No, I have no baseball aspirations, but I do like the Chicago Cubs. Could you guess what sport I played in high school, though? It wasn't baseball.
Tennis.
It was tennis,
actually.
actually.
I played tennis in high school too.
Really? Yeah.
I was not varsity. I was captain of the JV team.
Okay.
So I was pretty up there,
Yeah.
Senior year, captain of the JV team. Like, I had all the girls on. They would come to my games. They were coming to see like, oh, is Ahad playing today? I was like, no, I'm injured.
Oh my gosh.
I'll let them know that I'm injured.
Wow.
Were you captain?
I was captain of the varsity team. Yeah. Co-captain with my best friend at the time.
So you were a pretty sporty guy. Varsity.
Yeah, I love watching sports. I'm not always that good at it, but I love watching sports. I was just watching a football game yesterday and I love watching soccer games.
So let's get on into what made you major in American Studies.
I was a communications major for the first 2 years, and then I did study abroad in Italy. And then during that time, like you said, President Trump did get elected, and that was a huge change in culture, and I feel like I had never thought about culture in that way. And then all of a sudden after that, I was just really interested in learning more about it, especially being outside of American culture, looking in, was a really interesting perspective. So a year later, I switched to American Studies, and I don't regret it at all. Best major ever.
So what do you learn in American Studies?
The great thing about it is like every class is different. So for example, some of my favorite classes were like Americans in Nature. So that whole course was just about how Americans interact with nature and the positive, negative impacts of that, everything. Another class I took was like America and Gaming. So it started off with like very like old style Victorian gaming and like how that became part of our like, casino gaming and like all that type of stuff. And then the part that I really wanted to learn about was like the video game part, which was later on in the class. So yeah, it depends on every class, but really American Studies lets you kind of explore whatever you want to explore. So some people are more interested in like race relations. Some people are interested in like technology and how that's changed over the past, century or so. So everyone kind of has a different path.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
So by American Studies, does that only include the U.S. or also North and South America?
It would be, that's an interesting question, but I feel like in most cases, it's like U.S. culture.
Oh, okay, I see. American Studies. So how did you know that you wanted to major in communications to begin with?
So when I first started college, I wanted to, I don't know, it just felt right, I guess. I wanted to do, a lot of, I didn't want to be bound up by a very specific like skill-based major, I guess, like, learning one particular skill. I kind of wanted something more broad. Mm-hmm. So I was really interested in like photography and writing, and just blogging and social media. It was really interesting to me at the time. So I just kind of wanted to learn all about that type of stuff.
And then were you also minoring in broadcasting when you were majoring in?
No, so what happened with that was I was just going to switch to American Studies actually and just cut out communications entirely. But then later on, I realized that I could just add 2 classes because I had already taken so many communications courses. I could just add 2 classes and get a minor. So I was just like, whatever, why not? 2 classes. And it turned out to be great. Those 2 classes that I actually took towards the end were my favorite communication classes. So it went well.
Okay. What books do you read?
I read a lot of graphic novels, to be honest. Now that I'm out of college, I feel like I'm just reading more for fun. So I'm reading a lot of graphic novels. I was in a book club for a little bit.
Oh, okay. Was it the Traveling Pants?
It was not. No, it was just like 3 friends that I've known for a long, long time, and we all just switched books. But so I guess to give you an idea of what books I liked, I picked The Road by Cormac McCarthy, which is, if anyone's played Last of Us, it's very similar. It's like a dystopian, 2 people traveling across the country type of vibe. And the other one I picked was a book about Nordic mythology because I think Norse mythology is really interesting, like Thor and Odin and all that. So Tipping Point, I actually read in that book club that I just mentioned. Yeah, and it was really good. I recommend it.
And then now I'm reading his book, The Outliers, and I bought another one, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
So are you more into, not self-help, I don't know what the term is, but like nonfiction, I guess? Are you kind of, you like both?
It's more of just learning. I just like learning. Learning is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Just understanding. Yeah. As long as it isn't like I'm not going to read a book on World War II, Oh,
okay.
As long as it's...
What if it was written from a new perspective, though? I don't know.
I know you play video games. Tell me about your favorite video games.
Great transition.
I know it is fantastic.
I'm
so good at this now.
I love video games. Yeah. It was something I was considering if I wanted to do for a while, but kind of going back to what I said before, I'm not a man of technical skill, so I mean it's not like I could have been like a coder,
like a video game design,
or anything like that. I mean, so I know like HTML a little bit, but nothing like crazy. But anyway, yes, I do love video games. Been playing since I was a kid. Always had the Nintendo and the Sony consoles for most of my life. Never liked Xbox. Sorry, all you Xbox people out there. But yeah, and right now I got a Switch. I got a PS4. I also had never been into PC gaming much, but I think PC gaming is really cool. I think for me, I was just a little intimidated by it. Consoles are very like pick up and play friendly. I'm not really too tech savvy with computers as far as the hardware part.
Like building it,
like graphics cards and like stuff like that.
You just like a pre-built, ready to go. It runs the game and it's guaranteed to run.
And since I've had Sony and Nintendo for so long, like, I like Mario games, I like Crash Bandicoot games, I like, I have my certain games that I like with each system now. So,
What was your first Nintendo console?
Well, the first one that I had an older systems, because you're gonna call me old for this, but I had a Super Nintendo.
Okay.
Yeah, which I was already. They were already done making those games by the time that I was started playing games, but we already had it in my household, so we had that. I played a lot of N64 though. That was my favorite one for sure, and then GameCube, obviously.
I think the N64 or the Game Boy was one of my first.
Okay.
I don't know which one I got first. I think the N64 came out first, so it must have been that.
Game Boy's been around. I mean, Game Boy's been around since like 80s.
It was the Game Boy Advance or the Game Boy Color.
Oh, okay, those came out
So
in
yeah,
like
those
99,
came out,
98.
yeah. And I think the N64 came out in 96.
I think you're right.
So I think the N64, and then the GameCube was a solid one.
I love the GameCube. GameCube and PS2. That even to this day, those two might be the best generation of consoles. Those just innovated so
yeah, they
well.
changed quite a bit.
Yeah, they innovated just gaming just in such a huge way.
GameCube, it's interesting. Like no other console ever came out in a cube shape, and they embraced it.
Nintendo's always about doing weird stuff. I mean, you remember the small discs that they had for GameCube?
Oh, yeah,
They're
yeah.
the only people who are doing that stuff.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
And now with the Switch, I mean, it's like the only console and portable, system out there. And they play off cards. They don't play off discs. So Nintendo's always into weird hardware.
And they had that proprietary thing where you put your you put your Game Boy games in your GameCube.
And you could play it on the thing.
Super Mario Brothers 3.
Mm-hmm.
That was my thing.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. That was a cool system.
And playing it on the full screen, that was pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a gaming type of guy. But then you like
Love
the
it.
easy to go. I kind of like that too. Like it is fun you can just pick up a controller, start playing. You don't have to wait too long for loading or servers, and it's laid back when you play that way.
It's definitely laid back. And I don't know, definitely now that I work full time too. When I was a student, I could definitely invest myself in more long games and I don't know, but games that I could like dedicate a lot of time to. But now that I'm a student, I kind of just want to pick up a game, play it for 30 minutes, when I have time. Wait, I don't know what I just said. Now that I'm full time, yeah. I don't know if I said that right, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So I just finished Marvel Ultimate Alliance yesterday, so that was fun. And now I'm hoping to play maybe that new Star Wars game looks really good. So I'm hoping to play that.
Do you play Minecraft?
I don't. I think it's really cool, though. I honestly loved Legos when I was a kid, and I feel like if I was a kid when Minecraft was popular, I would have played Minecraft endlessly.
Oh, yeah, I forgot it was
a few years difference. Yeah, a few years difference.
A few years, give or take.
Because Minecraft was popular when I was probably like in 8th grade or 9th grade.
It started shooting up like 2011, 2012.
Oh, if that's true, then I was older than that. But yeah.
No, but even then, like, because if you think about it, like a lot of the big YouTubers right now, they're older than you because they're in their late 20s now. Mm-hmm. So they were a little past that age too. So
for sure.
I feel like there might have just been like not a generation gap, but a few small year gap between my group and then the YouTubers who were kind of big right there. And then like in the middle, it might have just jumped over. But do you play Roblox?
No, I don't play either of those like kind of like think builder games. I feel like, I mean, you said you like to think. So do you like those types of like puzzle games kind of like that? Or
I did actually just buy myself a puzzle.
It's a straight up puzzle.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a super difficult one. I got 4 pieces done. Hard. This one doesn't have a picture.
That's awful. I would never do that.
It is. It sucks. I got 4 pieces done. Only need 650 more to go, and
Yikes.
that should be done. But yeah, I saw it on Twitter. Like it was just
an ad for you or something.
No. Like someone just posted it saying like I'm almost done with my puzzle, and then people were like commenting like you're a psychopath for doing that. And I was like I am, and then I bought it, and then all my friends were like you paid $30 for a puzzle. I'm like yeah, and like I know I paid. Leave me alone. Let me be. I want to solve my puzzle, but I'm not a creative person though.
You don't think so?
Not in the slightest. I cannot draw. My handwriting is trash.
I mean, that's one type of creativity. I mean, you created a way to look at the stock market that no one else has. That's creative.
But that's more logistics,
I feel like it still involves, I mean, and even doing this right now, doing audio production, that's creative to me. I mean, it's like a media art, so it's just different.
That makes sense.
Because I can't draw at all anyway, but I consider myself slightly creative at least.
I see. It's just like when it comes to Minecraft, like the buildings, I cannot, I'm good with the aggressive PvP side, but when it comes to any of the building, like I see what people create on it, and I'm like, how do you imagine that? It just doesn't work with me.
I'm the same. I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, for like, I don't know if you ever played like Smash Bros. Or any game. Any game where you can like build a level or like build what. I don't want to. Yeah, I just want to play the levels you already made for me. I don't want to build a level.
Disneyland. You worked at Disneyland.
I did.
Let's talk about
yes
Disneyland.
And no, but yeah, I did. Oh. I worked in it not in like your typical way, but
no, but I mean like you should just tell people that.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I still do it kind of from time to time. So I worked at Disneyland as a what was my term? What was my production assistant? Kind of on call, I guess you would call it. So basically, just a few times a year, whenever Disneyland would have their biggest events. So let's say like they're opening Star Wars Land or like they're opening the first event I ever worked was when they opened the new Guardians of the Galaxy ride. Whenever these new things would happen, a new land would open, or hey, it's Christmas time now, they would have what's called a media event. So they would invite, NBC4, maybe OC Register, LA Times, all these big media outlets, and even some like Disney bloggers, to come out all at one time during a media event, they call it, and check out whatever the new thing is. That way they could provide coverage for it, and then it would kind of promote the new thing. So like, their followers could see it. They could be like, ooh, exclusive first look and all that stuff. So I would help work those events, and it was super fun. I mean, they still call me sometimes if I'm available, but the hours are really hard. They're always, because they try and correlate with like broadcast news cycles, which is like 6 a.m. in the morning.
And it's like peak time
is like 6
starting,
to 8 a.m. So I would need to get there. All my shifts start at midnight, from like midnight to 10 a.m. So now that I work here full time, I can't imagine myself going from midnight to 10 a.m., clocking off, and then coming straight here and working 8 hours here. So
wait, so midnight to 10? Oh, at Disneyland.
At Disneyland, it would be midnight to 10 a.m. and then I would come here and I have to do, I work here full time, so I need to work 8 hours here. So like 10 to like 7 or something, and then
that'd be a bit
die
difficult.
after. Yeah.
But that's the way to go out. So are you a Disney person, or are you like one of those?
I do love Disney.
Are you an all-season pass holder?
I just saw Frozen yesterday.
You did? How was it?
I thought it was great.
Olaf dies, doesn't he?
He does not. Well,
doesn't he melt? That's what I heard.
I don't know.
You heard about he's 5'4".
I did hear about that. That is terrifying.
Elsa's 11'2".
Okay. Is that true?
I mean, like they did
ratio wise.
Yeah, someone did a ratio wise of them staying next to each other, and if he's 5'4",
then she's gotta be like 12 feet tall. That's funny. But no, it was
that
really
is
good.
Scary. What do you mean it's funny? Like imagine if Elsa just came by.
I mean, she's a queen, so whatever. She can do whatever she wants.
Giant.
She wouldn't fit in this room. But no, I'll give it 4 snowflakes out of 5. That was a good movie.
4 snowflakes out of 5.
Yep.
I feel like they waited too long for their audience type of thing. Cause
I do kind of agree with that.
Because like same with Incredibles, and Toy Story
way
2.
Too long.
And
I mean, Frozen. I think how long ago did the first one get
2013.
released? No way. Was it really that old? Wow. Okay, that's a bigger break than I thought. I thought it was only like 3 years old or something. But no, Incredibles for sure. By the time Incredibles 2 came out, I was like, I don't care about these characters anymore. Yeah. Like whatever. And then Toy Story, they waited like 10 plus years. I think.
I haven't watched Toy Story yet.
Any of them, or just?
Or the last one?
I didn't watch 4. I watched 3 though. That came out like when I was in high school.
You didn't watch 1, 2, or 4?
I watched 1, 2, and 3. Sorry.
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3. Didn't see the newest one yet.
What made you do Titan Radio, like broadcasting? What made you be like? How'd you even find it? What was the first thing?
So my first day on campus during my orientation day, Titan Radio was spinning the music. They were being the DJs for like what's it called, like Welcome to CSUF Day or whatever it's called. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. Like I loved music and I loved it back then too. So I was like, just walked up and be like, hey, this is really cool. Like, how do I get involved with this? Like, they didn't even have a table that they weren't even like trying to like promote themselves. They were just providing the music. So I just walked up, how do I get involved? And then I also later on, I had a class, just completely by chance. I had a class with someone who was a staff member here at the time. Her name was Holly, and she really encouraged me to get involved too. So that's how I got involved.
I see. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the first things you joined on campus.
It was the first thing I joined, yeah.
And then was there anything else afterwards, or were we just strictly focused on Titan Radio?
This was the majority of my focus, but here and there, like I joined yoga club for a little bit. Towards my last year, I joined the Society of Professional Journalists on campus. They were amazing. I really liked them. And I joined ETC for a little bit too, the Entertainment and Tourism Club. Yeah. That's
interesting. So what was your show about also? You did it for 8 semesters. So.
Yeah. I changed it every semester. I was one of the few DJs that did that. Most DJs kind of like pick a concept and keep it for a while, which to be honest is better. That's a better way to do it, because then you can kind of keep and you can keep consistent listeners. Your listeners know what to expect after however many episodes. Yeah. But I got too bored with them super quickly. So one semester I did all blues because I didn't see any other blues shows. So I was like, oh, this would be fun, and I love the blues. Another one I did all vinyl, just strictly playing vinyl, no digital media at all. And then a lot of the other ones were just kind of like eclectic. One of the other ones was I only played songs that had a space theme, like outer space theme. But mostly they were kind of just eclectic.
That is pretty interesting that you would change your genre what was your name? What was the name of the show?
They all changed. So
Oh, okay. You change it every semester.
Yeah, I'll reel off a few for you. So the vinyl one was called Surface Noise because sometimes when the record has dirt, that noise that you kind of those pops that you hear is because of the surface on it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
And then my blues show is called Monday Blues because people are sad on Mondays, and it was on a Monday. And then another one that I liked, which I think, if I remember, it was my last show, was called 4 at 4. So me and my girlfriend picked 4 topics to talk about, and our show was at 4 p.m.
Oh, okay.
So every show was different. We just talked about different 4 topics. Sometimes it was music, sometimes it was pop culture, sometimes it was like our classes or something. So.
Was she? Oh, she was also a DJ here.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did she do it for the 8 semesters? Or 8 semesters.
No, she was transferred, so she did it just for like 4.
Oh, okay, but that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys still together? When you keep the same show, you know where to find it. You know, I like that show. Let me search the name. Let me just look for it in the list, and you can just find it. It's not just that the content is changing, but you're just becoming like a different person each time.
Yeah, that you're entirely right. I mean, some shows I would talk more. Some shows I would have a guest on every time, and I had the one with my girlfriend. I had a co-host every time, so that was really different. Yeah. So yeah, definitely different.
But I mean, you get a lot more experience with that because you got the co-host experience, you got the sort of podcast guest experience, and then you got just playing different types of music. So you're a music person.
Definitely.
Because I don't think I could listen to the blues or vinyl or outer space music. So you're just into like all the genres.
Basically every genre. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'd say my preferences are very like indie rock, new wave, and like shoegaze type of music.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Kanye West?
I like him. I mean, I don't always agree with what he says, but I like him as an artist.
Favorite album?
Favorite album by him?
Yeah.
Honestly, the one I probably listen to the most is Yeezus or St. Pablo. Like, I know it's like unpopular opinion. Everyone's like, oh, he's better when like the old version, like Graduation. I love Graduation. Like, I do love Graduation, of course, everyone does. But like, I don't know. I like the funky, weird stuff he's doing too. So
Yeezus is on another level. Like that, you go to the gym, you put on all of the songs except Bound 2. It's on
like Bound 2.
No, I mean,
or
like
not for the gym.
Yeah,
okay.
I can't go to and then honey. Like, what am I gonna do with Kim K? Be like like no, but like so. I feel it just doesn't fit with the album. I mean, like good for like an outro, but it goes from like I'm a god, on site, black skinhead, new slate, and then it's like, honey, and then it just doesn't. You don't get the. It is weird. I do skip it quite a bit. I mean, like it is good to listen every so often, but it just
not
doesn't,
your favorite for sure.
Yeah, like if I'm listening to the album as a full through, then I'm kind of in that pump mode. Like before an exam, I'm in like, all right, let me hype up. Can't just listen to Bound 2.
Okay.
That just doesn't fit.
It just reminds me of, I don't know if you ever saw it, but so the music video was very like popular at the time.
Oh yeah.
And then James Franco and Seth Rogen did a
I saw
take
that,
on it. Yeah, that's what I always think of with that song. So that's why I like that song.
That is. So let's talk a lot more about Titan Radio. We missed a lot about it. So what is your end goal for Titan Radio? Is it planning to be expanded? This is a small area. Is it planning to be moved anywhere? What is that?
I mean, it would be great. Jokes aside, it would be great for the physical space to be somewhere different, just so it is more presentable. Like, I mean, other campuses, the radio station is like right in the center, and like everyone sees it and everyone knows what's going on.
Yeah.
That's kind of a pipe dream, though, to be honest. So really, the goal of Titan Radio, at least for me, is just to increase our presence on CSUF campus, and then beyond that, once we kind of secure that market a bit better, to get more involved with the Orange County community and get involved with people not directly tied to CSUF. Like you see other radio stations, college radio stations that are interacting with, like, in LA, they're interacting with not only just like UCLA, like UCLA radio interacts with UCLA and LA. I want to be like interacting with Cal State Fullerton and like Fullerton, Orange County.
Because you get part of like Orange County Register and make some things into that, and then see if you can get broadcast on like an actual radio station. That'd be pretty good too. And also another thing I wanted to ask: you're pretty young. Like all jokes aside, you're pretty young, and you got this solid job here. What are your plans? Are you planning to stay here for some time, or see if you can expand somewhere else and move out from here? What are those goals?
I mean, Titan Radio is my baby, so I want to see my baby grow for sure. I plan on being here for a while. I mean, right now I have no end date planned, so if that tells you anything, I suppose. My goals are to stay in higher education, though, at least right now. I really enjoy just campus culture. I've only known this campus, so maybe years down the line it would be kind of interesting to see another campus and get involved there, but it'd be hard to leave. I mean, I love Cal State Fullerton, so I mean, my plan is to stay in Cal State Fullerton and Titan Radio for a while.
Because you did have a pretty solid experience going straight from high school into university, starting off with your own DJ show, joining more clubs. You changed majors like once, but it wasn't too much since you got a minor with it. Then you got a job right at campus right afterwards.
Right.
So it seems pretty interesting that you were able to do all of that in one go.
Yeah. Something else, too, that I didn't mention, but so I actually, in February of this year, I got my dream job, quote unquote, which wasn't this one at the time. I thought it was my dream job, and I left Titan Radio to go do it. I was there for about 6 or 7 months, and I really didn't like it. So actually, it was a really eye-opening experience for me. It was kind of like, everyone's always thinking about what's their dream job, and they're just shooting for this one dream job, and that's the only thing they can see. And that was kind of me for a little bit, and I got it, and I'm super proud of myself for getting it, but I just really didn't like it. So kind of one of those eye-opening experiences, like, you never really know what you want, I guess.
You're not a passive person.
What do you mean?
So you came to Cal State Fullerton, you saw the Titan Radio booth, and you went for it.
Yeah.
You did that. You did your 8 semesters there. You weren't just sitting around and doing the same show over and over. You changed up with that. You graduated. You went for your dream job, and then you also left it. Because a lot of people, they would have just stuck with it because they try and force themselves down it. So it seems that you do have your goals in mind, and when you don't like something, you're not afraid to say it.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah. If I don't like something, I'm going to change it. I'm not just going to sit idly by. I'm not someone who waits. I'm patient when I need to be, but also impatient when I need to be, if that makes sense.
Because you're waiting, because you said you waited 6-7 months, so you waited to get a feel for
time. Yeah. I give enough time, I think, to be like, okay, no, I really don't like this. I'm going to make a change.
Because a lot of people, like maybe their first major on campus or something, they wouldn't give it enough time, and they would switch to a different major. And then there'll be like an endless cycle where they don't know what they actually like because they like the initial thing, they just didn't give it enough time.
Right.
So I really like that you have your goals and your ambitions planned out, and you know your own limits on what you do like, what you don't like, and how that fits into everything. And then how can, oh my God, that voice crack. So why should students get involved with Titan Radio and other things on campus? What's so important about this?
So I'll speak first just in a general sense, I guess. Just getting involved on campus, I mean, it got me this job. I mean, so it can give you jobs. I mean, I think that's the answer that people really want to hear is getting involved on campus can get you a job. I'm not going to say it will, but it can. But even aside from that, there's so many benefits. I mean, having a community, having a sense of belonging, especially in a campus like this that's commuter-based. A lot of people are just driving here, driving away. You need that. You need people on campus. You need your support groups. So whether that's Titan Radio or whether that's the anime club or whether that's the Harry Potter club or even the physics club, I don't know, whatever anyone else is into, it's so important to get involved and to try so many things. I actually wish that I would have tried more than maybe just Titan Radio. I just got so swept up in it. And I love it, so I just kind of dedicated fully to it. But to bring up Titan Radio too, I mean, we're an amazing community here at the basement of the Pollock Library. I feel like we are open to so many different types of people. Anyone who has an idea for a show, we'd love to see it. We've had to remove some shows. I mean, if you break kind of our like honor policy, Did
I break anything yet?
No, it's like people who are not politically fair and like are one-sided and stuff like that.
That makes sense, yeah.
Or maybe we haven't had hate speech, but that would be, if that did happen, we would need to.
Yeah, because there seems to be a lot of content moderation that needs to come up in this section. And yeah, I did listen to a few shows, and most of them are just like people's opinions on general topics. I don't see a lot of people going too much into more sensitive topics or anything like dealing with politics or race or gender or anything like that. So
some people talk about that stuff, and we like those conversations, absolutely, but it's just a matter of presenting both sides, being fair. It's more about it's kind of one of those things you kind of know it when you see it, like if someone's blatantly not representing us well, themselves well, anything, then we'll have a talk with them. But back to what I was saying. We love all people down here in Titan Radio. Even if you don't think you want to have a radio show, there's so many other opportunities to be an intern or to just volunteer and hang out. I mean, you could just be like a friend and just hang out and try doing your homework down here. I mean, it'd be pretty hard to study. It gets pretty loud down here.
And then talk a little bit about street team.
Sure, yeah. Street team, I wish I could say more. It's something that I need to work on for myself. I think I need to work on understanding what our street team is doing more on a day-to-day basis. But our street team is kind of our volunteers that help us with non-radio activities. So that would be like marketing and like going out on campus and like tabling, like when you see people on Titan Walk, like going tabling and promoting us, sometimes going to concerts and writing show reviews and stuff like that. So it's kind of just other ways for people to test out what they like. They could try photography, they could try marketing, they could try a bunch of different things.
So because normally when you think about the radio station, you only think about broadcasting, and some people are shy, they don't feel like they would fit into, but in street team there's a lot more that strays not directly towards the whole broadcasting and speaking into a mic in front of an audience. So it seems like that would be a good fit for a lot of people who are maybe like trying to test the waters and just see how things are going, just to see like a little behind the scenes of the things that you guys do here. And then can we go back to your whole study abroad? Would you study abroad again? Like
in a heartbeat.
If you would do that?
Oh yeah, the great thing about my major too that I wound up graduating with, American Studies, is that they honored a lot of my classes that I took when I studied abroad. So it's not like I wasted.
So you did study abroad?
I did study abroad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did study abroad. It's not like I wasted any time. All the classes, transferred and stuff. Studying abroad. I'd say best two things I did in college would be 1, join Titan Radio, and 2, study abroad. Is by far like best thing ever.
Because again, it comes into you being a more active person than a lot of people on campus who just sit around and wait for opportunities to come. And even when it's right in front of their face, they're too passive to actually try and do something for it. Because for some people, they might get the opportunity just by sitting around, but just getting your experiences, getting your full college experience and just learning what it's about, you can't just sit around and be passive and just hope for the best. You kind of have to put yourself out there and be a part of different communities and just see what works for you. Because
for sure,
study abroad isn't for everyone. Titan Radio isn't for everyone. But you never know until you get a part of it and try it. You
find your right thing, definitely.
So students who are trying to get into the study of American majors, there's the notion that these non-STEM subjects, they don't make any money. So what advice would you give them to people who have a passion in, say, American studies, but are also on the fence because they're worried about what their future career outlook might be?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think I've gotten that a few times too, because communications and American studies are both considered, I don't know what the term would be, maybe like, non-STEM, I guess is a really good way to put it. More like liberal arts based, I guess. As someone who loves liberal arts and like social studies and all that stuff, that was always my favorite subject. I think, though they may not have a direct funnel to a job, I guess, like let's say, if you were like computer science, that's very clearly can route you towards so many engineering, computer science, like that type of world, whereas I didn't exactly get that funnel to a straight job. But I think for someone like me, who, like you said, I kind of looked for my own opportunities, I got the skills that I needed and the knowledge that I wanted through a liberal arts degree, and then was able to apply it in my own personal way. It's very personable. It's not like, oh, you're a math major, so you're going to be a math teacher, or like I'm a mathematician or anything like that. It's like, oh, you are an American Studies major, so you can be, I know American Studies majors who are librarians, and like I'm in radio, and I know some people who are doing broadcasting, and like, all that other, I guess radio and broadcasting are kind of the same, but you know what I mean? I can't think of any off the top of my head, but people who are going all which ways with the major, and same with communications, it's pretty broad.
And I don't believe you mentioned how you actually got this job here. It wasn't offered to you, and you didn't even apply. Like, there was talk about that.
Yeah, that's an interesting story for sure. So I talked to some of the higher ups here at the university. This was after, so to rewind, I was at my job, my dream job that I didn't actually like that much. But anyway, so I talked to some of the higher ups at the university, the director of Titan Communications over here, and then someone actually involved with the president's office that I'm pretty close with, and talked to both of them, and I was just like, hey, I miss campus already. Like, I loved being here. I want to work here afterwards. Like, what are some ideas you have, and what are, let's just brainstorm. And then, so we kind of both landed on the idea of, well, Titan Radio has never had a staff member. We were talking about how it's 20 years old. In 20 years, it's never had a full-time staff member just dedicated to Titan Radio. That's it. So I was like, well, I know I'd be good at that. I mean, I was a student here. I worked here as a student. I volunteered here as a student. Like, I know the issues like the back of my hand, right? So I kind of just pitched the idea. I wrote up a little mock-up like, hey, here are the problems in Titan Radio, and here's how I would solve them if I was to be a full-time staff member. And I gave it to, again, some of the higher-ups at the university, and they're like, okay, you got 6 months. Let's see what you can do. That was in July, so now we're in December, and they are renewing the position, I'm happy to say.
So I was a little worried that 6
no.
months are up.
No, they are renewing the position. Due to, like, legalities and stuff, I need to actually reapply for my position and re-interview and stuff like that. So there will be other candidates interviewing. I'm pretty confident that considering I'm the one that came up with the position, I will also keep the position, but you never know. I'm not going to, I don't know what the term is, like, count my chips before I have them or something.
Yeah, so that goes back to you being a more active person than
Definitely.
passive, because then if you were a more passive person, you would have just stayed at that old job and not have done anything with it. Or even if you wanted to move from there, you would have just applied to a job that was already available, not actually make a plan and give it to people and see if there is a job there. So that's pretty interesting that it was.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those
neat.
things, I guess, you'll never know unless you ask type of thing.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm not saying that I'm messing up all my phrases and idioms, but it's kind of like, like you were saying, you kind of got to reach out and take what you want. There's so many people out here that are doing amazing work and that want amazing jobs, and you got to be just as competitive as them.
It is a hard world that you have to compete with, and it just isn't easy. And then if you sit around and not do anything, you just can't. That's what I like. You are ambitious. You have your goals there. So to finish off, what is some advice you would give to students? Like five wisdoms, five tips.
Okay, for students now, okay.
If you had to make a YouTube video of Cal State Fullerton tips and tricks.
Cal State Fullerton or just being a student in general? Because I could do either.
I think Cal State Fullerton students are going to listen to this only. So let's go with Cal State Fullerton.
Okay.
Will it differ much?
There's just going to be some, like, funny niche ones, I guess.
Oh, then do the niche ones.
Okay.
Because we're all...
I'm no particular order, just so you know. Just as soon as they come to my mind. First thing, Aloha Java. If you bring your own mug, you can get all the drinks for a severely discounted rate, more than Starbucks, even sometimes $1.
Wow.
And you're saving the environment by not, promoting single-use plastic. So that's my number one tip. They do not advertise it well enough, so I'm here to tell you.
You should advertise that. That'll be
I'm here to tell you about that one. The other stuff is, on a more, I guess, serious note, is, like I said earlier, get involved with something. Find your Titan Radio. Like, this is mine. Like, this is my thing that I just dedicated myself to. Like, find whatever is you. As like, I had a friend who wanted a music industry club, like club just for getting into the music industry, and he didn't see one, so he literally made one called the Music Industry Club. So like, that's really cool. Find your thing. It's so easy to start a club here too. Like, if you haven't found it, just make your own club. Aside from clubs too, just try a bunch of different things. I know a lot of people, some people I hear talk smack on GEs. They think they're kind of pointless. They just want to get to their major already. I think GEs have such a huge value. I mean, you're learning so many things that you wouldn't normally learn. I mean, I took like a physics class, and I'm never going to use physics again, but super interesting. Glad I got exposed to it. I mean, it still has some sort of knowledge for me, and I wouldn't have even found American Studies without taking my GEs. My first American Studies class I took as a GE, and then that's where I was like, oh, wow, I really like this major, and then I became that major. So that could happen to anyone listening to this podcast. You could take a Bio 101 and be like, well, I actually love biology randomly, I don't know how many points I did. I think I did like 3 so far. So let me think about some more. Stop complaining about parking. It's not that bad.
It isn't that bad.
That's my hot take. People complain too much about it. Just park in the baseball lot. It's really not that bad.
I do 5th floor east side. That's like my go-to. It's always available.
If that find your spot that works for you, I guess. But yeah, I never thought
they complain too much.
It was that bad. I thought people complain too much. I should probably end it with a more serious one now.
Let's see.
I'm trying to think it. Oh, the library is so underutilized.
It is.
The library has amazing resources, more than just books. It's got literally talk to a librarian for literally 30 minutes and they're going to open your world into some crazy stuff. I mean, we have first editions of Dune. We have like online access to, I'm going to say, almost anything in the entire world. Like any movie, any old like ephemera, any old marketing, like there's databases for everything. I'm speaking more from someone who's done like research in like, you know, American history and stuff like that. But even beyond that, there is so much thing. And the best thing about the library too is if they don't have it, they can get it for you. There's like a thing called CSU Plus where we can rent anything from any of the CSUs. There's interlibrary loan where we can like collaborate with other libraries and they send us stuff and we send them stuff. So that's my little 2 cents about nerding out a lot about the library. If you haven't spent at least just 30 minutes, just talk to a librarian and just be like, what do I not know about the library? And they are just going to send you on some crazy paths, and it's going to be awesome. I'm so happy that I am now back at the university because I have access to the library again. I mean, it's just an amazing resource.
Are you part of the Alumni Association?
I am.
You are? That is fantastic.
I know. So I can also get lending privileges through that too.
So
that's actually why I joined, if I'm being honest. I'm on this alumni podcast. The reason I joined the Alumni Association is because of the library.
Okay, to end it off, your biggest regret in college. What is that one thing that you just wanted to do?
I guess.
Your one thing.
They're kind of niche, I guess. Let me think. Even though my path went great, it got me where I want to be. If I would have joined American Studies earlier, I could have taken a lot more of the American Studies courses. And now looking back, I look at the courses and I'm like, oh man, I would have loved to take that.
Yeah.
Like that sounds so fun. Another thing, honestly, if I was to start my bachelor's right now today, I bet you that I would be an American Studies major, but I would be a geography double major.
Oh, that's interesting. You would get the whole map and then the inside of the map.
Yeah.
I don't know. That is a very liberal arts position. And I'm over here with my physics and math minor and my comp sci major, and I'm like, finances, I love it.
I know.
Yeah. So with that was a fantastic talk. I loved it. We're going to end the episode here. Thank you so much, Matthew, for joining us this week and sharing your experiences and wisdom with us. Student, are you on Titan Pro Network?
I know that I am, but in a very limited capacity. I haven't explored it too much, but I know that I am because I get the emails from it all the time and stuff.
So if you want to connect with Matt and ask him any questions about Titan Radio or about his experiences at Cal State Fullerton, you can search him up, Matthew Sylvester, on Titan Pro Network. So sign up for that today. There are a lot of people on there who give career advice, review resumes, and be your mentor. It's basically our own Titan LinkedIn site, so you can connect with all of them today. So thank you again, Matthew, for taking the time to come with us.
Thank you for having me. And my last little note is, if any student would like to talk to me about anything, I was just a student less than a year ago, and I would love to talk to them. I'm on the Titan Pro Network, and I will be better for you, Ahad. I will be better about being on there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
it. But in addition to that, I'm also on Twitter, and you can find my email with the campus directory. You can also literally just come down to Titan Radio, and I'll be here most of the time. So.
All right, we're going to end it there. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Join us next week. You can watch it live at titanradio.org at 4 p.m. or catch it on YouTube at CSUF Alumni.